What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for coming into my channel today. Now, I'm sorry that I have not been uploading these last couple of months or so. I've been busy with college and stuff like that. And now today, we're actually going to be diving back into the series that I actually started reviewing many months ago. And I haven't reviewed a new entry in this series in nearly 6 months, if you think about it, maybe 7 months or so. And now we're finally gonna be talking about 24 season 7. Yeah, this season I really like it. This is a great season, and this was a really huge turning point for the 24 series, especially after the very disappointing season 6, which, guys, a lot of people hate season 6. It's their least favorite. It's my least favorite too, right now, but I still enjoy watching it, and it is still fun to watch anyway. Now, granted, this is a huge improvement over the last one. Now, technically, this season takes place nearly 2 years after season 6 and 2 months after 24 Redemption, which is the 2-hour movie. And this one brings back Kiefer Sutherland as Jack Bauer once again. He's now in Washington, D.C. Counter-terrorist unit has been disbanded. It's no longer running. And now Jack Bauer is in the Supreme Court answering for the previous crimes that have occurred that he has caused from the previous 6 seasons. Now he's answering for those crimes. Then they say they need him back because it just so happens that his partner Tony Almeida might actually have joined the bad side. Yeah, and that's not a spoiler. Don't worry. If you read the plot line for this season, that actually is in the plot line. So technically, it's not a spoiler for anybody. Now, this one technically, it's kind of, you could say this is like a continuation of 24 Redemption. Jack Bauer is in DC and he's tasked with helping solve a crime that's happening with what seems to be a new form of pathogen that was created in Africa by the same guy who we saw from 24 Redemption. And so let's just get into the positives here. For one thing, Kiefer Sutherland's Jack Bauer, still top notch, still amazing. This is my favorite performance of his ever, and quite possibly anyone's favorite. Like, anyone would say that Jack Bauer is their personal favorite performance by Kiefer Sutherland. He's still great in the show. Mary Lynn Rajskub as Chloe O'Brien. She's back here too. She's fantastic. I love her. I think this is a great new turning point. Especially, this is actually the first season of 24 to not have CTU in it. Now, granted, some people might actually be a little bit put off by that. But the thing is, I actually think that was a huge risk they took, and it actually paid off. So now they have to basically work with the CIA and the FBI to really get this mission going. And so if you think about it, Jack Bauer might actually be facing prison time, or he still might have to face the court by the time this whole mission's done with. So you kind of have to look forward to something like that happening at the end. And I gotta say, this season did not disappoint, like, at all. Granted, it's not flawless. There are a couple of flaws with it, and I will get into those. And I'll get into those later on. But yeah, Kiefer Sutherland, Mary Lynn Rajskub, great. Cherry Jones, who you might know from a couple of roles. Right now, I can't remember the movies that she started, but she plays President Allison Taylor, and I gotta say, she is a great actress, and I really do love her in this season. She plays the president, the new upcoming president. She was actually elected into office during Redemption, and now she actually is the president now. This is 2 months later, so this is her new. So yeah, now we get a new president because technically the first season didn't really have a president. We were just watching, David Palmer trying to become the president, and then David Palmer was president for seasons 2 and 3, and then he was kind of brought back for a little bit in season 4, and then Charles Logan was president in season 5, and then Wayne Palmer came back in season 6, and it was very nice to see him back because he was with David Palmer in some of the previous seasons, but he was actually the president in season 6, and it was good at first, but then it kind of went downhill from there. And this one we get a lady president, which I thought was a great thing to see. Granted, because this show, it brought forth things that we have wanted to see. Because granted, this show started in 2001, and David Palmer was was a president that we hadn't seen yet, and basically Barack Obama became president in 2008. And technically, this season came out in 2008, around the time when Barack Obama was sworn into office. So this was a huge hit for shows. And now we finally have a female president who is now running this, and now right now we have a female vice president. So we're actually reaching huge milestones as far as politics goes that this show wants us to see. And I think it did really well with that. And one thing that I was so looking forward to in the show, which granted this kind of leads into my negatives a little bit. This show has a very famous actor in it. Yep, you guessed it, Jon Voight. He's in this movie. You might know him from Runaway Train and a couple of other roles. Very famous actor. He plays kind of the main bad guy behind all of this throughout the season, but he's not in the season that much, because you saw him a little bit in Redemption, and then you do see him again here, but not till halfway through, and then kind of have to say it, within like 4 hours, technically 4 episodes, he's not around anymore, because he dies. And now you're wondering, oh my god, like I was so looking forward to seeing this guy. I thought he was going to be like the main bad guy for at least half of the season. But he's not. He's in far less than that. And it was a disappointment for me. Now granted, he's a great actor. I thought that what they did give him for the 4 hours or 5 hours that he was in this show, they did a fantastic job with him. So I felt that what they had to work with, it was fine. And maybe it was probably a budgetary thing, because granted, this season actually in particular, was delayed because of the writers guild strike during 2008, which basically a lot of writers for TV and movies kind of went on strike because I guess they weren't getting paid enough for some reason. Not too sure about that. But this season, I felt that despite being written during that time, or a little bit before that happened, I think that they actually pulled out a pretty good season for this, and it was actually great. This was supposed to be released in January 2008. It didn't get released till November because of that strike, so we had to wait a little bit for it. Now, another actress I do want to give major praise for in this show, in this season in particular, she does come back in season 8, and it's Annie Wersching. I don't know how you pronounce her name. You can look it up, but she plays Renee Walker, and she's a person who works for the CIA or FBI, and she is like Jack's partner for majority of the season, and she does play a major role in this, and she does come back in season 8 later on. And I gotta say, I was actually very surprised with her performance, and I was actually very happy with what they were able to do with her, because she's an agent who likes to follow the rules, and she is supposed to keep an eye on Jack, because Jack is kind of seen as a threat to the U.S., especially before, because if you don't know, after season 6 had ended, Jack Bauer fled from the U.S. because he knew that he was in trouble with the government and he had to leave. So, that's why they brought him back again, because they wanted him to answer for his crimes. And he tried to keep running, but he couldn't stay away because he has to protect people. That's one thing I love about Jack. When it comes to protecting people, that's like his one major weakness. If you put someone with death who he cares about or who he knows does not deserve to die, he's going to continue to come back. Like, if you hold someone hostage that Jack maybe doesn't even know, it could be a kid, it could be anybody, he will actually give up and say, okay, I'm coming back. I'll be with you guys. I will answer for whatever you want. I'll turn myself in, do whatever, but let me finish this. And that's one thing I love about this character. And it's still there. And Jack Bauer gives a fantastic monologue in this season that describes why he is what he is and why he makes certain choices. Now, it's in the season. It's kind of near the beginning, or maybe like it's in the first half of the season. I think it's around like maybe 1 p.m. I think. I don't know. But all I know is that Jack Bauer gives a monologue to Renee Walker as to why he does what he does, and he puts some analogies in there. And I gotta say, it was a very important moment, because I've always wanted to know why Jack Bauer does what he does and what he's thinking when he's faced with a decision that would be very divisive amongst some people. Like, okay, would you choose to save one president, or would you save a group of people trapped on a bus? And it's like it's a difficult decision that Jack Bauer has to make all the time. And if you notice, he makes decisions like that throughout every single season of the show, which is why I love his character so much, and which is why the show is my favorite. Now, I will say the acting in this movie is top notch. Chloe O'Brien is great in the show. Mary Lynn Rice Cup really brought that character to life some more. And also, and for anybody who hasn't seen the season yet, Kim Bauer comes back. And I was very happy with that because we hardly ever saw her. Like, we saw her in the first 3 seasons, and then she disappeared in season 4. She came back for a couple episodes of season 5. Season 6, she was gone again. So it's like, okay, I'm starting to forget about her. Redemption, she wasn't in it either. And season 7, she brought back again during the second half. And it didn't feel forced. It did not feel forced at all. I loved it. And granted, because, something happens to Jack where his life is on the line and he knows that, okay, it's going to end soon, and I want to say a few words to her before, it's over. And, he still chooses to complete the mission. And which I think that's any guy who has guts. It's something that I would do, honestly, if, anybody would do that if they were put in that situation. And it didn't feel forced at all. And, Kim Bauer's put in the situation again, and she's actually much smarter in this season than she was in like the previous seasons. During the first 2 seasons, she made kind of some dumb decisions. First season, made a lot of dumb decisions. Second season, she made some, but not as much. As you can tell, she matured a little bit. Third season, hardly any. And season 5, she couldn't because she wasn't in there that long, but she was still great. And this season, I haven't seen one dumb decision from her at all. And I thought it was great for her character. I thought it was really nice. Now, I will say that season 7 is a huge improvement over season 6. Redemption, I think, is slightly better because I do think that the characterization was done slightly better, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, so don't backlash me on this. But the characterization and the more human side you get to Jack Bauer in Redemption was a lot more refreshing. But granted, the monologue that Jack Bauer gives in this season was great. It really stuck with me, and I do think that this is a huge improvement, and I would highly recommend that anybody see this season. So guys, I really hope that anybody who's watching 24 gets to season 7, because this is a great season. It's a huge improvement over the 6th one, and I'm gonna give 24 season 7 a B+. It's good. It's really good. I love it. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to my next review coming up soon, which I'll be reviewing a very underrated horror film that probably nobody has heard about, but I want to get it out there in the spotlight. So guys, please comment, like, and subscribe, and please share with your friends, and I will see you guys next time.